The rematch we've all been waiting for. Undefeated in 2026. In the words of the Dropkick Murphys, the boys are back and they're looking for trouble. More coming up next.
Goal. Avellini. Here comes Peyton. And Peyton is in for the touchdown.
Unbelievable.
James and Cade, 2-on-1, hustling back his point number, shot, score! Patrick Kane in overtime!
Ahead of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
To the circle, puts the shot in the air, good! The game's over, and the Bulls have won.
The pocket, so Ferguson was on the run, and you're going to see Wilbur Marshall come here and really flatten him. Oh boy, did he really hit him.
Looking downfield, launching downfield, going for it all! It is caught!
Here's Bernard, feeds it back, Hazar scores! From Hazar in overtime! And the Hawks win it 4-3!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Superfan Network. My name is AJ Nyard. I am your host for this edition of Blackhawks Pregame. Tonight, the Blackhawks are trying to continue their winning ways in the new year, which is very surprising that they're undefeated since they don't have their top two centers. They are trying to also seek some revenge against the St. Louis Blues as they come into town today. The game will start at 9:30 Eastern at the United Center. The Blackhawks come into this game 17-18-7, while the Blues are coming in here with a record of 17-18-8. Both teams are trying to even out their wins and regulation losses. The Blues are 3 points out of a playoff spot, and the Blackhawks are 4 points out of a playoff spot, which makes this game even more important for the wild card race, for the playoffs. As we're entering 2026, we only have about 5 months left, a little bit of a big break in February for the Olympics, which I will be covering some Olympic hockey because why not? But the race for the playoffs is on, and it's a very, very, very tight race right now between the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. But all can change. Everything can change in about a week. Maybe in next week I could probably be saying, oh, the Blackhawks are in the wild card spot and the Blues are down at the bottom. But who knows? It's hockey, it's sports, it's fun. Things change all the time. It's great. The last time these two teams played was back in December, but we all know what happened back in December. The Blues won 3-2, and Connor Bedard got injured in the very last second of the game. The downward spiral of the season began in the end of the year. However, they're now undefeated, and everything looks promising. The momentum is coming back. Connor Bedard was injured in the last second of that game. The Hawks will be looking for a little bit of some payback against the Blues, and it's the St. Louis Blues. It's always good to beat the St. Louis Blues. Dumb Blues. The Blues wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Hawks. That's a story for another day. One player to definitely watch out for is Tyler Bertuzzi. He is coming off a hat trick against the Golden Knights. A solo hat trick, might I add, because the final score of the game was 3-2 on Sunday. So he put the team on his back, and they beat the Golden Knights in overtime as well. In the last 5 games, Bertuzzi has had 4 goals and 6 points. So add 2 assists to that. So 4 goals, 2 assists, that's 6 points. So watch out for number 59 as he keeps on tearing up the ice. Tearing it up, dude. And here's the thing. I'm going to be honest. I think he might be staying here a little bit longer than I expected. I really thought Bertuzzi was going to be one of those transition guys like what Pat Maroon was. Some of those other guys that were on the team a year or 2 ago. That's what I really thought Tyler Bertuzzi was going to be. But now he's a human backboard. He's a stud when it comes to rebounds. And I'm starting to think he might be, if I had to choose one guy who's 28 years or older to stay on this team, it might be Tyler Bertuzzi. Out of all the guys. Like Tavo, I don't see Tavo being on here if the Hawks make it to the cup or whatever. But I think Tyler Bertuzzi might still be here. He's doing really well. He is right now probably the best player on the Hawks when Connor Bedard is gone. I feel like it goes Connor Bedard, Tyler Bertuzzi, Spencer Knight, Frank Nazar. My boy Frank Nazar. And a lot of people know I love Frank Nazar. I'm a diehard Frank Nazar fan. I love Frank Nazar. But I think those are the top 4 players right now. And with Connor Bedard gone, Spencer Knight's in net, but I think Tyler Bertuzzi is playing. Like, you can't really compare a player to a goalie. Like, you can't really do that. But I think Tyler Bertuzzi is the best player on this Blackhawks team right now, which is crazy to say because you think 2 years ago, you'd probably be like, Tyler Bertuzzi being the best player on the Blackhawks? That's crazy. No, but at this moment in time, he's the best player on the Blackhawks. However, there are some injuries that we need to look at to keep in mind, as always. The Blues have 4 injuries. The Blues will be missing Suter, who has an ankle injury, and Holloway, who's on IR with an ankle injury. Suter is out. Holloway is on IR, and those ankle injuries are both week to week. Bukestad on IR with a day-to-day upper body injury. He won't be playing tonight. And Walker is on IR with a month-to-month upper body injury. Now, like I said before, the Blackhawks have just 2 injuries, and it's our top 2 centers. It's Connor Bedard with a shoulder and Frank Nazar with his jaw injury. They are both still on IR. However, there is some good news. Reporters Charlie Remiliotis of WGN and CHSN and Ben Pope of the Chicago Sun-Times were at practice yesterday and posted on Twitter some interesting clips that fans are going to love to hear and see. Frank Nazar was in a bubble shield visor, and Connor Bedard was out there before practice in non-contact jerseys. And then Connor Bedard kind of stuck around, not really doing much, but he was still skating. He stayed out there. He was a partial participant in practice. Today, however, Connor Bedard was practicing in a normal jersey, non-contact, and he was ripping shots like crazy. So he is healed. However, Blashill did mention in a press conference that Bedard won't be playing tonight, unfortunately, but it's probably smart, which is really good because Bedard is coming closer. And it's been told that Bedard, though he was snubbed from the Canadian roster, he is an injury replacement. So we may be seeing Connor Bedard in the Olympics. I don't know how I feel about that because as an American, as a Blackhawks fan, want Connor Bedard to be in the Olympics. As an American, I don't, because the Canadians will beat us again and win the gold. I'm hoping that the United States can win gold against the Olympics. I feel like we have a really solid chance. Anyway, that's a different story. But it's good to see Frank Nazar is participating before practice, and Bedard is now day-to-day with that shoulder injury, and he's ripping shots like full power, everything. So he's looking pretty good. The Blues lineup for tonight. Let's get the lineups for tonight. The St. Louis Blues have... Both teams are probably going to keep the lineups as they usually have been most of the season. Blues have on the first line Neighbors, Thomas, and Kyrou. The second line, which has Buchnevich, Shen, and Snuggerud. The third line is Stenberg, Dvorsky, and Bergeron. And the fourth line is Topochenko, Sundqvist, and Joseph. The deep pairings, Broberg and Perieko on the first, Tucker and Falk on the second, and Fowler and Malix on the third, and Bennington will be in goal tonight. For the Blackhawks, nothing changes any at all. As the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Bertuzzi, Green, and Burakovsky starting the first line with Teuvo Teravainen, Oliver Moore, and Nick Lardis on the second line. Love that. I love the Lardis-Moore line combination. That is really, really good. And get the rookies. The Lardis with a wicked shot, Moore in the center with a lot of speed. That's going to be good. Donato, Dickinson, and Mikheyev on the third line, and Doc Foligno and Slager on the fourth line. The deep pairings, Vlasic, Crevier in the first, Kaiser and Levshinov on the second, and Grzelcyk and Murphy on the third, with Spencer Knight going to be starting tonight in goal. So that's the lineups for the game. Nothing surprising there. Things seem to be as they are. Keys of the game for the Blackhawks. I have one key. Forecheck, and forecheck. The Blues are known to be a little bit older team, so a little bit slower and have older deep pairings. So keep attacking the offensive zone. Well, first, the one thing they've been trying to fix and they have been improving on is zone entry. So get in the offensive zone, keep taking shots. Don't be pretty. Don't do one too many passes. Just keep shooting. Pepper the goalie. Get shots on goal. Invade the net. And pucks will hopefully bounce in. Also, it's okay to take a penalty or two when you're trying to be aggressive on offense and stuff, because the Blues are ranked 23rd on the power play. And you're probably asking, well, why is that such a big deal? Because the Hawks, they have moved up on their PK. They were top 5 on the PK. They're now top 3. They are 3rd on the PK in the league. So Blackhawks have a really, really solid penalty kill. So could be dangerous. You get Bedard back in there, you get Nazar back in there, and the offense starts clicking again, and the momentum, and hopefully those guys, when they get back from the injury, the momentum is still going, and we're still winning games. We're still winning good. we might have a very dangerous team, and might I say, playoffs? Might be getting in some playoffs. Who knows? So that's what I got for our key to the game. One more thing before we wrap up. It's time for the pick of the game for tonight's game, starting at 9:30 Eastern, which I think is ridiculous because both teams are in central time zones. Why would you make us on the East Coast and in the Eastern time zone start at 9:30? I find that crazy, but I'm just a normal fan. I'm a diehard fan, and I have no connections with Gary Bettman, so I have no say. So it's up to them with the scheduling. But that is one thing I've had annoyed with is that, we're on the West. These two teams are in Central Time Zone, and they start the game at 9:30 Eastern. By the time this game gets done, it's going to be midnight, 12:30, and I'm still going to have to record a post game, which I will get you that post game. I don't know when it will be posted, probably 1, 2 in the morning, don't know, and have no idea whenever you'll see it, but I will still get that post game done. My roommates will probably hate me because I'll be up late at night. But the pick of the game, I'm picking Oliver Moore to score. He's due for a goal. I really think he's due for a goal. He hasn't scored a goal since the beginning of December. But with what I said about the forecheck, the key to the game, the Blues are an older team. So I really, really think that if Oliver Moore doesn't try so hard and doesn't get into his head too much, he can get the puck, blow right by them, and score a goal. I think he's due for a goal tonight. I think he cracks the goal drought. My score prediction for the game, 5-3 Hawks. I say 5-3 Hawks, be like 5 goals. How are the Hawks going to score 5 goals? Well, here's the thing. If the last two games against the Blues have told me anything, the 2 games that they played, the first game was an 8-3 victory by the Hawks. The second game was a 3-2 loss against the Blues. Basically saying if you can score more than 3 goals, you're probably going to beat the Blues. So I'm going to say 5-3 Blackhawks. Anyways, that's all I have for this edition of Blackhawks Pregame on the Superfan Network. My name is AJ Nyhard as your host, and I will catch you later on the postgame late tonight. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notified when these pregames and postgames and other fun videos. I'm thinking of some ideas. I'm thinking of a lot of content that I can make, so you might want to stay tuned for some of that. Might be a tier list. I don't know. Ooh, who knows? I have some interesting ideas that I want to do for this. Follow me on Da Superfan Network on Instagram. So please, we're at 19 followers, almost 20. Come on, go and follow. Anyways, enjoy the game tonight, and I'll catch you after it wraps up. See you then for Blackhawks postgame.